talk about headstand, variations, ways that you can play with the pose, and what's going on anatomically, physiologically. When you develop enough strength and you can back far enough away from the wall, here's the sort of thing that I begin to play with. When I've got distance, I'm able to easily go into the pose, and then I can begin to play with splits, side to side. You can see that my foot can touch the wall. This gives me enough balance to be able to move the legs around. I can go side to side. You can bend the legs. You can open the legs out. You can do a center split. You can begin moving side to side, front to back. You're playing with the pelvis, the lumbar spine, the hips in a completely new way because of the gravity involved, completely different than our usual work. And you can also do things like crossing the legs, making them twist. You can see on one side or the other which is tight, which is loose. You can pull the knees down, squeeze the belly in, lift the shoulders, push the head away. Very subtle, small refinement. And, again, the wall is here. If both feet are on the wall, you can begin to play with back bending in the lower spine. You can lift, tucking the tailbone, lengthening the lumbar spine. You can push the feet into the wall and back bend. You can explore what's going on there. How does the lumbar spine feel? How are the hips? You'll typically find spots that you like more than others. And you continue to play. All the while, your blood flow, of course, is going up into your head. Your eyes become bloodshot. The blood pressure change that happens in the neck, in the head, you're tending to pool blood above the heart. So in this area, typically your heart has to work to push blood up into the head. When you're in an inversion, just the opposite takes place. It's good to change things up. It also helps with lymphatic flow, allowing pressure changes to shift. Overall, the reason why Sirshasana is considered the king of the poses is because if you only had to do one pose a day, if you only had the option of doing one pose a day, headstand is the pose. You wind up flushing blood, bathing the pituitary gland, the thyroid, parathyroid gland in blood, and then flushing that material around your body. It brings strength to your musculature. I personally have suffered with whiplash. That's how I got into yoga and into massage. I've been told previously that headstand is very bad for people who've had whiplash. But if you have whiplash and the ligaments of the cervical spine had been overly stretched, people tend to lose their cervical curve. I believe this has happened to me. As I've continued to practice headstand over time, as you continue to refine the alignment, as you continue to play with the pose, it's not just one spot on my head. It's a tripod. So you're balancing the weight from the forearms, the elbows, and the head. Maybe you're a little more to the left, maybe you're a little more to the right, but you begin to play with the head itself. Where is the rotation? Where does the neck want to go? Essentially what happens is I wind up in a position where I'm retracting the neck, which is good. It's a back bend for the cervical spine. Most people sit at a computer like this. You're reversing that posture.
you're developing strength and muscular tone in the muscles of the neck, which means even if the ligaments in my cervical spine have been overstretched, I'm helping create a muscular support structure, slowly, incrementally, while breathing, working on my body, and listening, feeling what's going on. If it's uncomfortable, I stop. But as you continue to play with poses, the only two ways they can be done wrong: you get no effect, or you hurt yourself. Anything in the middle is fine. You can stretch, have muscles that are a little sore the next day. You can work muscles and maybe be a little sore the next day. But you don't want to injure yourself. If we don't challenge ourselves, we don't progress. You can start with headstand next to the wall, slowly back away, continue to play. Approach asana, the postures in yoga, with a playful attitude. It's not a destination, meaning I can do this pose and I do this pose perfectly. It's the exploration itself. It's the path. Long term, what is happening is I'm able to lengthen my spine. I'm able to use the resistance from the rest of my body to strengthen the cervical spine. I literally get to the point where I'm pushing my head into the floor. I'm lengthening the neck. I'm stretching everything open. I'm strengthening the muscles and allowing my spine to be long, to be supple, to be strong, so that I can walk upright, so I can have good posture, so that my breathing is improved, so that my organs and glands are cleansed, so that digestion and elimination improve. This is what yoga does. Long term, hatha yoga, the physical yoga, the asanas, the breathing, the pranayama, is designed to get you to the point where you can sit, be undisturbed, so you can meditate. That is the entire focus of the practice. I'm sometimes asked if I meditate, and I say yes. When asked what I meditate upon, I tell them back pain. I've worked with it for 13 years, and it's still improving incrementally. My health is good. I rarely get sick. I continue to work. Very few injuries. You continue to keep going. You work. You're strong. You breathe. You can do whatever you need to do. It makes your life better. Your health improves. It allows you to go and do the things that you need to do. When you play with headstand, also keep in mind there's very complex anatomy and physiology at play. When you're upside down, your respiration is changed. Typically, when I am sitting and I am breathing, what that means is I've got a diaphragm underneath, which we talked about in previous videos with the breathing. Well, in headstand, it's all upside down. Typically speaking, what happens is when I take an in-breath, the diaphragm pans down. The belly tends to protrude slightly. And then, when I exhale, the diaphragm comes back up. It creates more space for the abdominal organs, and the belly can come in. When you're upside down, the diaphragm has to work against gravity. You're taking this muscle, the diaphragm, and what you're doing is you're giving it a weight and saying, work harder. When you strengthen the diaphragm, when you work with the intercostals, when you work with the musculature of respiration and breathing, it means that as those muscles strengthen, you can breathe more fully, more easily, at ease, even when you're not in a headstand. On the exhale in headstand, you can simply relax. The weight of the abdominal organs means that it will press on the diaphragm and allow a slow, smooth exhale through the nose. We talked in previous videos about ujjayi. You can continue to play with ujjayi in headstand, because then you've got multi-layered work on respiration, multi-layered work on strengthening the diaphragm, strengthening the musculature of respiration, which means you're closing down the pipe, breathing through a smaller pipe, And now you're giving resistance. You're upside down. The diaphragm has to work through the epiglottis, through that closed down pipe, through the throat, and it has to push the abdominal organs out of the way on the in-breath. I'm also told lymph circulates better long term. You are flushing blood around the lungs in a different way. The heart sits between the lungs. As you breathe, the heart is gently massaged, and the lower portions of the heart, gravity wants to pull the blood there. When you go upside down, it reverses and does the opposite. You're just moving things around. I consider headstand a yogic cup of coffee. It is a wonderful pose. It's absolutely my favorite. We'll talk about shoulder stand in later videos. And I've grown to like shoulder stand with props. And we will talk about that and the reasons for the difference between the two poses. Shoulder stand is great. Kids love it. If I'm around children, I tend to do them. I'm great fun at parties. People tend to find it humorous. If I'm drinking a beer, I usually tell them it's because the alcohol goes to my brain faster. Continue to explore. We will talk about poses in more videos in the future, and we're going to talk about headstand again for some additional refinement, some additional information about structure and function within the pose.